I'm Mark,
And I'm Kendra.
and this is the Christ Centered Life podcast.
Bow, bow.
And we're going to talk about culture and community today. Catholic culture and community. So, it's very important.
It is very important. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
So, in the Catechism, if you go to chapter 2, I won't dig really into it, but if you look, it does talk about how, as humans, we have this importance of building community and culture, and they really define society and community really well. And they talk about how it's so important for us to build culture because without a culture that Christians can truly follow the Ten Commandments, it's almost impossible for us to do so. And they mention that in that chapter.
Yeah.
So it's so important that we build this culture that allows us to be the best Christians that we can be. You know, if we're surrounded by a culture that prohibits us having the ability to
Follow our
faith and follow those commandments,
it's
we're
just
done.
it's a detriment to our faith
Yeah.
life. So, walking with those who are trying to be saints is so huge and so important because obviously, as Catholics, our goal is to get to heaven. Become saints. So, if we don't surround ourselves with people with the same goal in life, it's gonna make it that much more difficult to get to heaven, become a saint, get your kids to heaven. If we don't surround ourselves with awesome families like we have who they genuinely just their goal is to get their kids to heaven, and it's going to be so difficult for us to do the same. And I know both of us have definitely been changed a lot by community life in our faith life. And so do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience with community and without community and transitioning to a different community? You have a pretty interesting story with that, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll definitely go into an episode where I share this full testimony of mine, but there was a point where I did not have community. I remember seeing Mark having this beautiful community within Our Lady of Victory Parish, which that's where we're located in State College, and it was awesome. He had this men's group that really supported him, but I was not Christian, or I wasn't Catholic at the time. I was very Christian, and then I decided as I got deeper into my faith and really understood theology, I realized that I needed to go into the Catholic Church, and I felt called to do so. But because of that, I left this beautiful church that had amazing community, and as soon as you'd walk in the door, it's like having that Walmart greeter. There's always someone there,
They're
and
really good with that.
They're so good,
They're
and they
really
assign
good.
you small groups, and it's almost impossible not to have community at their church. And so leaving that non-denominational church and going into the Catholic Church, I knew I was supposed to be in the Catholic Church. I felt called to do so, and the theology of it all showed that. But there was no formal community at Our Lady of Victory. Like, there's a beautiful community through the Knights of Columbus and all these organizations, but not the type of community where you just get coffee with your girlfriends, you know?
Yeah, definitely difficult. Our parish, for instance, is the biggest in the diocese, so you have a lot of people moving in and out because of the university. So it can be very easy to start coming to church there and really know nobody, and if you're not very outgoing, like some people, then
Me?
it'll be... I was going to say me, but
Oh.
no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's going to take you weeks to get up the nerve to say hi to the person you've seen 10 times at, mass or daily mass or something, be like, hey, friends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely a need to build culture and community to make it a little more accessible to the everyday parishioner. So
it was just hard, and Mark was able to find his pretty easily, but he is a little more outgoing than me when it comes to talking to strangers. So he was able to find his by talking to people about it, and I didn't know where to start. So we created the Salvation Group, which allows us to...
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. It allowed us to create the Salvation Group to just meet this need of a formal structure to allow people to find that community. So we don't tell people what to do. We're not running around saying join us, but we created this group that allows people to know that there's these small groups that are occurring, and if you're interested in one and you're new to the parish, you can join us, and we host events to build community, and it's really great. And through that, we created a co-ed group And that is where I found my community. And we have 2 groups, and it just really allows us to, I don't know, I don't want to go into detail about them.
We can definitely go into detail at some point, but if we could backtrack a bit, could we talk a little bit more about how life was like in the community desert? Like, you're kind of in a desert of, you're just leaving your non-denominational, and you don't really have a community yet. In our parish, like, what was that like to kind of be in that community desert? Yeah.
Being in that community desert was so hard, and I'm sure people who are listening to this now, you've experienced it no matter what. Almost everyone moves once or goes somewhere, and they have to reestablish community. And being in that community desert was so hard. Like I said, I was a part of a church that was doing a great job at making sure that that community desert timeline was super short. And so hopping in here, it was hard, and I felt like my faith was crumbling, even though I had a really great relationship with the Lord, and I was reading my Bible every day. I didn't have anyone to talk to about certain things, especially about things that women like to talk to women about, like I had Mark, and he's great, and I love bouncing ideas off of you, and just telling you things, but there's certain things that I think it's so important to have other women, and you to have men.
Yeah, and I think just other people too. Like, I think especially families. In that process, it'd be, you can't just rely on your spouse or your significant other to really talk about some stuff. Sometimes you really need to get an outside point of view. Yeah. So. And I needed
that. I needed to know what does a good, faithful, I don't know, fiance or wife or mom look like, because I hadn't had a true, Catholic, I grew up in a Catholic home, but it wasn't, very, very devout. We didn't pray before every meal or anything like that, and I was just craving to ask these questions, and I needed someone to look up to, and now we have that. But that desert time, we had one of our worst fights, because I was ultimately jealous that Mark had this and I didn't, and I was so upset. I literally was screaming at him, why do you have this and I can't? Where is my community? Why can't I have a slice of this too? I want to talk about the Lord, and I want people to hold me accountable. That's not you, and so it was hard.
Yeah, that definitely led us into really being more aggressive with getting the salvation group started and getting some co-ed groups and stuff. And so, what was that like once we had, we started a co-ed group, and then we were able to get a couple to lead another co-ed group. Yeah. How is being a part of another co-ed group change your faith life?
Oh, it's changed it drastically, because it allows me to talk with other people, and not just women. It's co-ed. So it allows me to see what other, great relationships look like, what being a good, there is no really good or bad, but just just being able to live my life more for the Lord, and just having that. And so every week and Mark knows, and the people who are watching this that know us personally know that I struggled with a lot of health problems for a while, and it really hindered my ability to go places. I was having a physical difficulty getting places, and Mark would always be like, okay, I know that we have small group on Tuesday, but do you need, you literally couldn't make it to work. Are you sure we should go? And I'm like, I have to go. I have to go, because if I don't, Satan wins. And I was like, I'm gonna go, and I would walk like an old lady to the car.
It's pretty rough.
I would do a really painful scoot.
Oh my gosh.
And I would always make it to this small group that 2 very beautiful people run for us, and I always felt better. It was like my soul was healed. So even if I wasn't physically perfect, which most of the time I was, most of the time, all the prayer and everything, I would walk out of there much better than before, but my soul was fed. I was reminded that every time that I suffer, it can be brought up to the Lord. Yeah. But it's hard to do that when you're sitting in it with yourself. And so just being around other people and recognizing that, everyone has something, everyone is suffering with something, and that you're not alone, and that every time that we suffer, it's just bringing us closer to Christ. We are being like Christ when we suffer. And I needed people that weren't you, or weren't me to
Mm-hmm.
tell me that, to be like, hey, I see your pain and I see that you want to be better. Let me help you do that. And it just felt like I don't know, going to the small group, it felt like I built an army behind us that
Yeah.
would walk with us through like being engaged, going through these health problems, our future marriage, what raising kids is going to be like. And like, they allow us to
Yeah.
ask so many questions. And so it's been awesome. And so Mark, you have a way different story than me when it comes to community. It came a little bit more naturally for you. And I just think it's really awesome that you're part of this group. And so can you just tell us a little bit about how you got a part of it and what it is?
Sure. Thank you, Kendra. um, no, I graduated from college, came back home, and was going to OLV, and I was like, geez, oh man, like I need a group of people or something, because like I want to get better with my faith. I want to get deeper with my faith, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And oddly enough, I ran into my old CCD teacher that day, Chris Smith. Shout out, Chris Smith.
And CCD.
And CCD.
Yeah.
And he and his wife taught our theology of the body in 10th grade, and we were like one of their first classes. And so I had a really great time with him there, and remembered him, talked to him afterwards. So he saw me and he was like, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Doing real good. Just graduated, trying to figure out work and stuff." And I was like, "Man, I'm really just looking for a group of people like at church to get together with." And he's like, "Funny you say that." He's like, "I run a men's group, and you should come." And so I started going to men's group. It was bi-weekly on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. And it was really awesome because I was meeting with all these really, really devout Catholic men, and they were all, normal, really cool, and they all had the same goal of getting to heaven.
They're all normal, huh?
They were all normal. Like some...
There's ordinary Joes,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, no, normal in the sense they're not weird.
Oh
like
my
some
gosh.
people are weird. Anyway.
No.
But yeah, all the guys in that group, really, really awesome, and just really good people. And so it was really great for me to have these group of guys who have been where I'm at, know exactly what I'm going through, and are able to give me advice and things to think about, like, "Hey, Mark, you should try praying this," or "Why don't you do this?" As we're talking about things. And I really needed that, and I really needed that accountability. We'd talk about how's our prayer life doing, how's our purity, and tell me a glory story. Those are the three things we talk about, and it was really great to have that sense of accountability bi-weekly, so you could be like, this week I didn't do too great, and you have to be honest with your brothers, I'm going to go to Galatians 6:2. It says, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." And we really bared each other's burdens. It wasn't something we felt we had to just carry ourselves. We had others carrying the cross with us up, the hill to salvation, to our crucifixion. So it was really impactful in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And could you just give a little bit of how it's maybe helped you being, like, before you met me, how did it help improve your dating life and then dating me and engagement? Like, how has having this accountability group helped?
Oh my gosh. Like, it was tremendous for my faith life. Before I thought I was doing good. I was like, I'm going to mass every week. I'm pretty,
a rock star.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm doing all the things.
And if you're just going to mass, you're still a rock
yeah,
star.
like you're still a rock star. But we're all supposed to always strive to get deeper into our faith. And I didn't really know what that meant until I got with this group of guys, and they taught me about like worthiness to receive communion. They helped me through some of my deeper sins, and I got covenant eyes because they all suggested it. And that has been tremendous for my life, knocked a huge in our relationship. Oh my gosh, like just having a group of guys who can really lead you because they've gone through it.
Yeah.
That has been the biggest thing, and having people that keep you accountable and love you enough to check in, see how you're doing. And my faith life transformed like night and day.
Yeah.
especially like my buddy James Yannishanis, Healthy Valley, chiropractics. He taught me about worthiness to receive communion. That one hit me pretty hard because I didn't know anything about that. So I was like, shoot, I really need to be taking my faith life way more seriously because like I need to make sure I can receive communion on Sunday. I can't be doing these things I normally do now. Yeah. So it just really transformed everything and made me want to be a better man for you, especially when we started, dating and stuff. I really took those men's group as this is where I'm going to learn how to be a good future husband, be a good boyfriend in a relationship, and now I'm learning to be a good fiance.
Oh yeah, we're both working on that.
Yeah. But so it's been really awesome to be able to learn from those guys because they're also working on the same thing. They're all great husbands, great fathers, and I really want to be like them in that way.
Yeah, and I would say I've met most of the men's groups families now, and they've been just huge impacts on our life, and I think they've really helped establish culture in this area. They do it in a different way than how we do it, but they really have been trying to change the culture. James has a business, Healthy Valley Chiropractics, and I love going
shameless
there.
Plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. I love going there because he it's not in your face that he's Catholic, but you can just tell that he's a faithful man because there's music playing. If you listen to the music, it's worship music. Not always, but most of the time it's worship music. And he has a crucifix on the wall. But it's not like no one is going to that business and being like, oh my gosh, he must be a crazy Catholic. No, it's just such a way, but it changes the environment of the office. It is just such a happy and healthy and positive environment, and I know it's because the Lord's there. And in Matthew 18:20 it says, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them." And I think that's so true. The amount of healing that he has, the amount of times that people have been healed in his office, including me, my recovery has been crazy miraculous. And I think a lot of it has to do with there's so many other Christians there that he's not just using the power of his practice, but the power of prayer and his faith. And I think that's so huge. It's just changed a lot for us, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it really has. Now, what are some ways we have built culture and community in the parish?
Yeah, we are trying our best. We are. If anyone asks, we're just doing our best, Tom. We're just doing our best. We, through Salvation Group, did start those co-eds, and so when I expressed to Mark how I had him going to this non-denominational for a while, we were going to both Mass and the non-denominational service every weekend, and he would even say, "Wow, Kendra, they do some things well. They
absolutely.
do." And community was one of them. And so we were like, we need to have small groups. And there are already some, hence the men's group. There was some women's group, but they weren't advertised in the parish. You just had to know that this guy Chris was having men's group at his house, and you had to find that out. And it wasn't a secret club, but it also, there was no place to couch it. There was no advertising or anything.
There's no banner. There's no table.
You didn't know. And so we created Salvation Group, which allowed people who already have small groups and us to create some, to place them under this umbrella where we are able to get support from the parish and advertise for them and say, hey, on Tuesday nights, Matt and Meredith Freeman have small group. It's a co-ed. It's great for young couples. They have childcare. If you're someone who's a young adult, like the one that we have on Wednesdays, you come to our house, and it's people who, there's one family that has kids, but majority of us are engaged, single, dating, young adults, and we get together. But it allowed us to really just advertise and share this community and build a structure for it. And so small groups was a big one. But we have done other things too. Mark was a really great asset to a Christmas party, if you want to tell us about that.
Christmas party. Yeah, we do different community events. Kendra's really a good planner. I just do I just do some lifting on occasion. But so yeah, we had I'll talk about Christmas party second maybe. Yeah. All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
First we did All Hallows Eve, which Halloween's good and all, but we really wanted to raise awareness to the origin of Halloween, which is All Hallows Eve, the eve before All Saints Day.
Yeah.
And so we had an All Hallows Eve event for the parish where families could come. We provided a meal. We had various games for them to play and stuff.
Yeah.
And parents could just relax while they let their kids go off and do whatever in the activity center. And it was a really great just building community there because we met people we've never met before. We met families we've never met before, and the kids could have a good time. It was, centered on Christ, centered on the meaning of, the faith in that season. And, we all got something out of it,
And I think, too, this is a prime example of how community changes the culture because we reestablished what Halloween could be for these families. So like all these kids showed up in all these saint costumes and it was so cool, and we had a saint costume contest and all these activities. Like some of them were painting pumpkins, but other of them we had like saint bingo and all these other like really fun saint activities for them to do.
Like a saint scavenger hunt.
Yeah, we had
to go around the activity center. We had I forget what saint Lewis would know, but our friend Lewis and Lily, they're just like walking encyclopedias.
Yes, and they did the Saint Bingo, and it was awesome because it wasn't like we told them not to go dress up later. A ton of the families also did Halloween, right? But we got to reintroduce what Catholic culture can look like in a parish, and so I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah, and like you said, like it doesn't have to be the biggest thing ever. Sometimes it's so simple as we got some games together, we got some food, we're bringing people together. Like we've had a few potlucks at my parents' house. I live at my parents' house. Save
we're
money.
Not married yet. We're getting there.
So anyway, we've had some events at my parents' house. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for letting us use it. Anyway, but simple potluck, getting people together for food or doing the All Hallows Eve event. Yeah. And then in the winter we did a Christmas event. And spoiler alert, if any of you kids are watching that was at the event, I was Santa and I was Saint Nicholas.
Yes, so we had a special guest, Saint Nicholas.
So I dressed up as Saint Nicholas and greeted everybody. Yeah. Our priest, Father George, he had a pretty solid
Saint Nick costume.
Yeah, he had a great Saint Nick costume. And so we, had pictures, and then we had our boy Nathan here, who's our producer.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything without Nathan, literally.
Yes, he's at everything.
He literally could not do anything without Nathan. And he was our cameraman for that event, so we built a backdrop for
balloon
Christmas
tower.
Backdrop, balloon tower, things like that, so families could take family Christmas photos. And we had a chair, and I dressed up as Santa eventually, and kids could take photos with Santa and just provide them awesome pictures they could remember about this event. And that one, I think we learned from the first one that we didn't need to provide a full meal.
Yeah, we had just snacks this time.
So this time we just had snacks, but everybody loved it because, again, we had games for the kids to do, activities, crafts for them to make, and they all loved it. Yeah, they built, little mangers and Christmas trees.
Ice cream cones.
Those are, so delicious. Though, never thought of it. It was Kendra's idea. She's like, Christmas tree, icing, sprinkles. It's a Christmas tree.
Yep.
And we did that, and it was pretty delicious, actually. Anyway, so yeah, just getting people together, and the beautiful thing about that one too, it was so kind of more relaxed, and we'd seen people we'd literally never seen ever, ever.
Yeah.
All Hallows Eve, we saw some people we've seen occasionally, but didn't really know. But this event, we had over 100 some people, and literally just strangers. Never saw these people.
And it was awesome.
And it was awesome to see them, and then you then see them at mass, and you're like, okay, wow. I know you and stuff, and so you can connect with them. Yeah,
and going off of that, really what we want to talk about is we wanted to highlight that culture and community is important. It says so in the Bible, in the Catechism. It's saying we need this. We need to have society and community built on this culture that allows us to all be Christians. And we wanted to share how we're doing that, but we also want to share how you can be doing that. And, maybe you're not ready to do an All Hallows Eve or a Christmas party. But for Valentine's Day, what we did that was super small, did not take a lot of work at all. was...
I did no work.
You handed them out.
Yeah, I stirred the spoon.
Yeah, you stirred the spoon. We bought Fun Dip, if you guys know what Fun Dip is.
Who doesn't know what Fun Dip is?
Kids didn't know. Fun Dip's apparently not as popular because a ton of the kids had never had it before.
I don't think the kids
adults did. But the adults were like, Fun Dip! So we got Fun Dip from Sam's Club. I got Fun Dip from Sam's Club. And then there's this really awesome shop on Etsy that we'll drop in the comments so you can see it. But they make really cool little Valentine's cards, and it's Saint Valentine's on the front and has a little saying, and then on the back each of them had a "Did you know?"
A little fun fact.
Yeah, a little fun fact about Saint Valentine's, and then I just stuck it on the Fun Dip, and then at the end of every mass, except for Saturday mass because we thought it was at 6 and not. Or we thought it was at
like
6, but it was actually at 5:30. Big mess up. But the rest of everyone else, so we apologize, all of you Saturday people.
Yeah, Saturday
on Sunday, every mass, we had these Valentines handed out, and it was so awesome because then, like these kids, their parents may not really talk about St. Valentine's a lot because we get really wrapped up into what Valentine's is now.
Yeah, the secular version of it.
Yeah, and we were able to meet them in the middle because we still gave them a piece of candy, and it told them what St. Valentine's was, and it was free, and it really was not an expensive activity to do at all.
No, it was pretty cheap.
Yeah, and so it just helps remind people of what Valentine's comes from.
Yeah, and I think it was really great. I mean, you had some cool stories about handing them out, and some older women wanted some, and you handed out some to some elderly women who don't have, their husband has passed, and that really touched their heart. Yeah. I forget, you said some story about that old woman literally was like, I'm gonna cry because I got this.
She doesn't get Valentine's anymore, and so it reminded me that we need to be looking for those people that we don't always look for. Yeah. And, sharing love with them. Like, that's what Valentine's Day is for, and just making sure everyone is seen and gets that fellowship and that community. And so you can do that. You can do that in small ways. Our small group was one night a week. It was like us and like four people for a while, and naturally just through fellowship and through talking, and we hosted a pizza night, which in turn brought another person in because we were like, instead of having like a Bible study, we're just gonna make pizza together.
We're
tonight.
Just gonna hang out.
Yeah, invite who
build
you want.
Fellowship.
Yeah, and then we had more people come, and so just organically this happened, and so we challenge you to do the same.
Yeah, I'd definitely say some first steps would be, if you want to build community in your parish, you've got to build community in a small way before you can build it in a big way. So if you have friends, hopefully you have friends.
If you don't, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't. If you don't, try to make some. You'll make some. Just try to make some, and get together like once a week, or if you can't make that work, start bi-weekly, and maybe once you can get it rolling a bit more, maybe you can change it to weekly. But get together. You could simply just go over the gospel reading from this past Sunday and get some questions to stimulate some thought and provoke discussion about that, and build your faith together. And then once you have a core group of people, that's what we did. We had started that way, and when we had a core group of 6 people we could count on, and we're like, all right, let's do this community event. So it wasn't just us doing it. We had our boy Nathan, huge help always. The Haleys, the Vincent,
Cassie and Luke.
Cassie and Luke.
Yep.
And the Freemans. And
that was our core.
Yeah. And so we were able to do so much with that small group that we started with. And then you can just build from there. So I challenge you to try to make a new friend, or get your group of friends to get together for a small group, and then hopefully you can build things from there.
Yeah.
But
and that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Please visit our website. It's thesalvationgroup.org. I know that's a really long and confusing title. But then also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, The Salvation Group on Facebook. And then Instagram, it's _salvation_group. Yeah. So, and then don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, click all. Do all those things. Check all these boxes.
He's been waiting to say that.
I was pretty excited.
Yeah. All right, that's all, folks. Thank you so much. We hope you have a blessed day, a blessed weekend, and wherever you are, hope you're feeling blessed. And hopefully this podcast has helped you live a more Christian or Christ-centered life.
It's the name of the podcast.
Christ-centered life.
There you go.
All right,
All right,
bye,
bye.
guys.